Here we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Bearcat Journal. As always, sponsored by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Get you some little dippers. That's the new menu item at Galactic Fried Chicken. Basically, Galactic Fried Chicken's version of chicken tenders or chicken nuggets, I guess. Not quite the whole gigantic chicken tender. A little bit smaller, a little more bite size. You get 8 of them with an order right now instead of 6. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off of your order, or get it delivered pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. They will bring it to your house via the app. All right, Aaron. Let's get things going. We got a big night on Rocket Truth.
Yeah.
Not often you get NFL guys during the season on your podcast.
Not during the season. That's the rare hit.
Yeah. So we get that tonight as the Rocket Truth guys will be hosting Josiah DeGuara. I hope they're not going to make him wait 10 minutes at the beginning of the show.
I hope that there's no internet issues. These things happen. That's not a knock on them. These things happen.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
I would hope. As we saw Dollar.
Yeah, just vanish last night. That was awesome, by the way. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go listen to Chad Dollar on the BCJ podcast last night. I screwed up the download. Kelly was home.
More people listened to it than anticipated.
Right. Sorry, that's my bad.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's my bad.
People got a free one.
Well, they got the Nightcap, and then I downloaded the. Sorry, that's my bad. Today, Kelly's home. Her mom was here. Her mom was here hanging out with her for the late afternoon, early evening. Allowed me a chance to sneak out of the house and head up to campus, catch a little basketball practice, and much to my delight, the first inter-squad scrimmage of fall practice as we get ready for the season to start. So I got lots of goodies, Aaron. Is there anything you would like to ask me in my viewing today?
What were teams?
That they switched it up some.
Okay.
So they would do like a 12-minute segment, and then they switched it up. And then they did like an 8-minute segment, and then they switched it up. And then they did another 12-minute segment. They switched it up.
Who played the most? Who played the most 5?
Vic on one team, Kalu and Odie on the other team, and a little bit of foreshadowing last night from Coach Dollar. Jared Hensley was playing a little bit of 5.
Oh, did not see that coming.
Which, well, if you would have listened to Coach Dollar last night, he kind of implied that that's something that they might be looking at. And it was something that happened a little bit in the scrimmage today. I am really, really intrigued by that.
I guess I just didn't see it coming this soon. I thought it was maybe like a stopgap, like an emergency, in case of emergency, break glass here. And maybe that's all it was in the scrimmage. Who knows? But
no, I mean, he was kind of in the rotation. Sage was out today.
Okay.
He did the individual stuff, a minor injury. They just didn't want him going live for, 35, 40 minutes.
It makes
so maybe
lineup that really fast.
Yeah. Like if you're looking at a lineup that's got like Hensley, Davenport, Nolly, maybe even a Newman in there, or David DeJulius, and then Fennessy or Adams Woods.
What you give up in rebounding and banging around down low, you gain tremendously in spreading the floor.
Yeah, because Hensley is much better, as we've talked about. He's made quite a bit of strides in shooting the basketball. Now you've got potentially a 5 that can stretch the floor all the way out to 3. Can run the floor, can rebound, can play above the rim. I don't know that it's something that at least right away is going to be prominent, but I do think it's something that's developing as practice is ongoing that there's such a glut maybe or a log jam at the 4 and even at the 3.
And we've talked about that. Yeah.
Maybe that's a way to get Jared Hensley on the floor a little bit. He can guard a 5. Here's the other thing. He's still growing. He's grown an inch. He's up to 6'9", like 6'9" plus.
Nice.
So he can guard a 5. And he can guard a pick and roll. He can switch. He can guard a guard in a switch situation on ball screens if you need to. It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know how far along in that process they are of getting him ready to do that. But it's at least something that's on the table, and it's something that I would not have expected. There was also another thing I would not have expected as they were flopping around the line, switching around the lineups. And it was a result of something else. But I did think in terms of like if this team is going to pressure. So the final segment, DeJulius, Newman, Nolly, Davenport, and Vic. With DeJulius at the 1.
It's a lot of shooters.
And it's a lot of size. Like, it's a lot of size to go 6'5", 6'7", 6'7" in a center.
Well, and we've talked at length in the last year, 2 years, about DeJulius playing so much better off ball. But if you have him bring the ball up and the other guys around him are Newman, who's worked on his shooting, as we heard Coach Dollar talk about.
Shot it well today.
We heard Newman talking about as well during the media stuff today with the AAC. Yesterday. I don't know, my days are running.
It was this morning.
I've been awake for a very long time. This day seems never ending. But yeah, I mean, when you have and Nolly and Davenport and even Vic, that's a lot of shooters. So it's
a lot of offense.
I think it's okay in that particular.
The question for that group ultimately would be, can they defend? And that's like Nolly is your 2 in that situation with Newman at the 3 and JD at the 4. Can Nolly defend a 2 guard? Like if a team puts a 6'2", like quick, like
Well, I guess in that particular rotation, depending on who the better, whether the 2 or the 3 is better, maybe you switch Newman defensively.
Sure, I mean there'll be options on that,
yeah.
But Newman's still not like he's not a guy that you really want guarding like 6'1", 6'2" guys.
I understand.
So there was some experimentation with that, and that also created a situation where on the other team you had Fennessy and Mike Adams-Woods, which I would consider like a pressure package. Like if you really want to get after a team,
a lot of defense.
Defensively, like you could go in spurts, and that hadn't really crossed my brain. But when you talk about wanting to play multiple ball handlers,
who's at the 3 there?
I guess that would have been Dan.
Okay.
Dan shot it really well today. You can tell he is still learning as a defender.
Well, I guess my question then would be, if you have Newman in that same package, and now you have Micah and Fennessy and Newman.
1, 2, 3, right?
Ooh.
And then maybe you go Nolly small ball 4 there to get you some offense, because that would be the problem with that group.
Sure.
Would be, where does the offense come from? But like if you're looking
late in a game and you're trying to defend a shot or looking for a foul or something of that nature, or trying to get the rebound on a free throw, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with that lineup in particular.
I have to tell the funniest story of the day. So Wes is big on like free throw huddles, like before a free throw.
Okay.
Because it's a way to get a play in, like when you're huddled up, it's a way to like. So he's kind of, there were referees there today, and he's kind of joking around about like everybody's responsible because we don't have a lot of time when we do this. Everybody's responsible for getting everybody into the huddle. So if this guy is like John with, the guy that's guarding him, or somebody's upset with an official or whatever, like everybody's responsible for like, hey, let's get in here. He's like, so they're, like talking about it. And he's like, let's say Vic's mad at the official. And Vic instantly snaps into character and goes, fuck.
We've seen that play out in real time. That sounds right on par for
It was
Vic.
so funny that he just snapped into character instantly. Like, let's say Vic's mad at the official and he's like, ah. And they're like, get in here, Vic, get in here.
That's fantastic.
Tobler and I, like, cheeks hurt from laughing. We even called back to it, like, during the scrimmage when they were huddling up, like, just dropping a random F-bomb. But, just interesting little things that caught my eye today in terms of this is obviously it's the preseason. It's your first like live scrimmage, inter squad scrimmage. So you're going to get a look at a lot of different things. Those are some of the things they got to look at today. I'm sure as we go towards the season, they'll continue to look at as many different things as possible. Let's see. The guy that especially late as the practice wore on, Josh Reed can really play offense, man. He made 5 outstanding cuts, like in all different kinds of cuts, like a cut baseline as somebody was driving middle and boom, they found him, hit a layup. He made a cut behind the defense as the ball was already almost at the rim. He made a cut opposite from the wing, straight down the paint, and they hit him for a pass. It's kind of like a trailer in a half-court offense. Layup. The only one they stopped was Davenport just barely got his hand in, like on a straight baseline cut that they hit him. And if Jeremiah doesn't get his hand in, it's another easy layup. You just get that sense from Josh. We talk about how he's a really smart kid.
Right.
Like he just plays the game differently than kids his age.
Well, I think it's obviously great to hear that he's developing so well on offense. Equally good to hear that JD is defending well, as we know that was an area of focus for him in this offseason.
He was better today. He was definitely better today. I thought overall, I didn't think it was I thought it was a better, and people are probably going to be really glad to hear this. I thought it was a better day for the offense.
Good.
Like out of the first 5 shots they hit, 4 of them were just shots they wouldn't have made last year.
As for back to Reed, how was he in the post?
He didn't. He posted up. I think he got Dave on him once and posted up.
I guess I mean more defensively. Like I know that was something that when Ezekpe was matched up against him in some of the
they were together mostly, with the other team being more wings. So he wasn't really guarding. Like they don't really have post guys that just post you up on offense. So that's still going to be determined.
I just didn't know if he was getting bullied around or anything down low.
No, but they don't that's not a feat. Like if I could say this team doesn't have 2 things right now, they don't have an abundance of like post up, throw you the ball, get a bucket.
What about rim protection?
They don't have rim protection.
That's what I was.
That's going to be something. Tobes is going to come on the BCJ podcast next Wednesday night. That's going to be an area I really want to talk with him a lot about, because we were talking about it tonight, and they're going to have to compensate. Like they're going to have to take a lot of charges, because if you don't have rim protection, you've got to find a way to keep teams from just driving you constantly for finishes.
And that's not something we're used to seeing out of the Cincinnati Bearcats. Yeah,
and I'm sure they'll figure out some ways defensively to provide like off-ball rim protection, but they definitely don't have guys like Abdul and Hayden,
right,
that are known commodities as shot blockers. Maybe that's something as Sage develops that becomes a strength for Sage, but as it stands, like that would be the deficiency offensively and defensively I see on this team, is they have a lot of bodies, they have a lot of size, but they don't have a lot of like just genuine post, like traditional post presence on offense or defense.
Is that something you see Vic developing into, or
potentially? I mean, I think he can block some shots, but I don't think he's a natural shot blocker.
okay?
Where you would more see him would be potentially being a guy you can throw the ball to, as long as he figures out how to handle double teams. Like we saw that was his issue last year. They wanted to throw the ball to Vic, but then as teams started sending the double, he hadn't caught up. His game hadn't caught up to the speed of how fast that happens in the American game. So those would be things I would be a little bit concerned about. But we kind of knew that those would be things that this team wasn't necessarily going to be great at. I liked what I saw from Rob Fennessy. Quite a few finishes at the rim, made some nice passes. He was very aware of Josh Reed's ability to cut, because he was doing a really good job of finding Josh as Josh continued to move towards the rim. And that's having a great cutter doesn't matter if nobody knows how to throw him the ball. Right? Like, and he delivered a lot of really good passes to Josh on cuts that I was impressed by. Dan shot it really well, especially early in the segment. He looked like he was really pretty automatic from three when he caught it in rhythm. I thought Newman shot it pretty well. Landers Nolly is a scorer, man. Like he is wired to get buckets. He can pass, as Chad Dollar said last night. Yeah. He can pass better than advertised, but that's because what's advertised is how well he can score.
Sure.
He's got such a quick release, like deep range. I thought Jeremiah played well overall. Didn't take a lot of shots, which maybe if you know you've been watching Jeremiah for 3 years, maybe you think that's a good thing, that he's being a little bit more selective and not having to force action, where he maybe feels a little bit more comfortable with the offense around him, where he doesn't feel like he has to like have so much weight on his shoulders.
Or if the shot clock isn't running down to where he has to throw a shot up because the play never developed.
Right. That's another thing. Really, in like I said, it was about 36 minutes or however they did it. I really only saw 2 shot clock situations.
Good. Seems much improved, but we'll see what that means for the defense.
Right. So there you go.
Any flashy dunks?
A couple. Odie had one. Kalu had one. Kalu almost had a tip dunk that would have been like highlight reel material. His hand was up near the top of the square, but he got there a beat early, so the ball was still in the cylinder. Now, give him credit. He hung, waited for the ball to come off the cylinder, tapped it off the backboard, landed, went up and got it again. So his athleticism was on full display.
Yeah.
If he'd have waited a quarter of a second to jump, it would have been like his elbow in the rim on a tip dunk. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I had from the scrimmage today. Like I said, Tobes was there. I had a chance to sit with Tobes and chat the whole session. He will join us Wednesday night to give his thoughts on the BCJ podcast. So there you go. Like, hey, look, people keep telling us that they're looking for a basketball fix. If you can't have this tonight and Chad Dollar last night and get yourself in that basketball rhythm, like start getting your mind on basketball, I don't know what to tell you.
Before we go, football had a commitment today.
Yeah, Brian Sims III, edge rusher, 6'3", 6'4", 240 or so pounds. If you go watch his tape, he's what they don't have on this defensive line at this point.
What they've been looking for, a Maje-ish body.
Speed, a guy that can really bend, a guy that can really get around the edge and get after the quarterback. That's the goal for Brian Sims.
Decommits from Boston College, commits to Cincinnati the next day. So,
and a great note from Brian Doan, who did the commitment story.
There you go.
Wants to be a podiatrist.
Oh.
Because I guess in a locker room, you look around and there's a lot of nasty feet.
Mangled ass football feet.
Mangled ass feet. And he's like, I'm just fascinated by like looking around at these dudes with gross.
Fascinated is not the word I would use.
Well, the field of podiatry. Like, how do I fix that? That's disgusting.
Like I often say, everybody's got to be somebody.
Yeah. All right. That wraps it up. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. This is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
Sit!